super awkward at first because you usually aren't washing your face in a downward motion. You're usually used to washing it up on here. And little different angle what you're working with. Don't stress. I promise it will come as you kind of get this muscle memory down here. And remember, a facial is not just the face. Technically, a facial is the neck and the décolleté, which is this whole area kind of from like your clavicle down to where like the breastbone starts on here. So, gotta cover everything and every stop on here too. This isn't just a facial thing. Do both cleanse the same way. Now you do an oil-based cleanse first because an oil-based cleanse is going to get any makeup or sunscreen, waterproof mascara, anything like that off. But it's also a little bit kinder to your body. Your skin is oily. It wants to be oily. Oil is a protection that your skin has to it. So if you just go in with a sudsy cleanser like this, which is much more stripping of the oil, a lot of people that have chronically oily skin will say, well, I use this and like I just can't get this oil to come off of my skin and it just makes more oil the more I wash it. Yeah, you're never gonna win that fight with your own body. So if you have oily skin, unfortunately, you gotta fight fire with fire. And if you let the body know like, hey, there's plenty of oil on here already, no need to freak out and produce more oil. There's plenty on here. You can train your skin to make less oil on here. So now we've done one cleanse on here. We've done our sudsy cleanser. Now I want to come in with my toner. That is what this little contraption is for. This got my toner right in here, and then it sprays out of this. This is the back end of the vacuum machine. We'll talk about that later. But you've got to turn the machine on. You've got to turn where it says vacuum on. It'll make a noise, and all you have to do, there's a little hole on top, just touch it. Spits it over the face. That's all you gotta do for a toner. Now, when you get like more advanced, you might wanna slap your toner in or like put it onto the face, but all you need to do, give it a spray, it settles on the skin, it's just acidic enough that after our cleanser, that now the skin is, okay, not so bad on here too. I don't have to freak out quite so much because now we're re-acidified on here. So now we're gonna come through with our exfoliant. This is our marine exfoliant on here. I like it not only because it's gentle, but because it's really easy to apply with a brush on here too. A little bit of water on my brush. And I, especially my professional, usually always put it in my hand on here too because it's really easy for me to like scoop out and control it. And you can just do one if you want to. Remember, you're always coming either from the forehead or the chin. Just brushing that product onto the skin. Again, your brush technique, like everything else, will come in time. We want to cover everything that's not the eyeballs and the lips. Now, I could do it with one brush, or I can come in and do it with two. Because you can do this fun trick now.
Oh, okay.
And it feels really nice on here too, so you can do kind of like a windmill technique, and it just brings product down. But again, just personal preference.
You go all the way to the chest with those too?
Yeah.
Do you do the eyebrows?
Yes.
What if they've had the eyebrow tint?
That's fine.
Okay.
Brushes are a lot like effleurage. You want to go like brush over brush on here too. And again, this is gonna feel super awkward at first. After you do it a couple times, suddenly, oh, this flows a lot easier. You can do this kind of windmill technique and it doesn't feel like awkward. Now, I usually will use my dirty towels for my hands just to like wipe it off of my hands for this part. So she's exfoliating right now. the enzymes in here are doing a job, kind of eating at the dead surface levels of the skin, breaking up anything that we want to break up. Some estheticians will leave for this 10 minutes. Don't do that. Keep your eye, because again, her eyes are closed and she's vulnerable. So if she just hears me like funking around and moving, she's gonna be like, what the hell is she doing? But when both of your hands are on your client, she knows, okay, I know that she's there. I don't have both hands here, and then suddenly a third hand is just like touching you on the belly on here. So this kind of lets your client really relax when they spatially know where you are. Come through with our massage stuff over here. And give yourself a nice healthy glob of this. Your massage for your facial, just like for your manicures and pedicures, this is what's gonna get you clients. And you're using every part of your arms for this too on here. So more so than getting your client greased up, grease yourself up. Get all the way to your elbows, your wrists, the back of your hands, so that way you glide over all of your client's neck and shoulders on here. Now, before I introduce anything to my clients on here too, I will normally hold it about here, so that way she can take a whiff of it, especially if it's something that's like strongly scented on here, because it lets her know that something is coming. It is nice and warmed up for my hands now. I'll come through with each shoulder. My first pass through is really just to kind of move that product around, and then to see kind of how my client like feels on here. If she's like flinching or moving away from me, or if she's like really like, oh yes, that's like the massage spot that like I wanted. So you just are gonna go over just to move that product around. Now, when I go here to get started, I like to come kind of right underneath the collarbone right here. And then you'll feel kind of like your first little rib. If you kind of feel right above your collarbone, you can feel like the ridges of your ribs on here too. I normally like to kind of hit those first. Now, when I do this in my professional setting, I usually have stones that I layer up and down on my client. Not only because it's like a weighted blanket and it feels nice, but also so now I can gauge their breathing. With a little rock right here, it's really easy to see where she breathes up and down. And as she kind of exhales, I'll do one nice big push, and then you can kind of get into like your heavier work on here. Don't rush this step on here too. This is mostly what people are coming for when they're coming to get a facial. Not only is for the skin, but also because you're really focusing here on the neck and shoulders. And for a lot of people, that's where they carry a lot of their tension. Whatever you do to one side, you've got to be prepared to do to the other. So I normally start here at the shoulders and kind of loosen that all up. Then I'll cast her head to one side. And we can start some gentle stretching. And pull each part on here. And then I'll pull this side too. You can see this one too. I'm stretching down to her back, right about to where her bra strap would sit, is a good rule of thumb on here. And don't be afraid to use your body for this too. If you don't have the hand strength to kind of do this yet, there's no reason that you can't kind of hook on here and lean your whole body with it. The weight of gravity pulling it will give you a nice muscle pull on here. And you're a human person, so you instinctively kind of already know how to do this. If I notice that she, kind of falls into a spot and she like kind of like, like makes like a little like grunt or moan on here too, good. Those are signs that we want on here. That means that I'm hitting a spot that she really needed to be hit on here. Maybe there was muscle tension going through that area. You're trying to make your client feel as good as we possibly can. Pinching and kneading. Now I do have a whole unit on just massage itself that you guys will eventually sit through, so don't worry, we'll get to it. If you feel a knot on here, a knot to me always feels like hot dog gristle. Like when you bite into like a steak or something and there's like a big piece of like fatty tissue in it. If you feel that under your fingers, you have found a knot, and you can apply a little bit of extra pressure right there. Just try and work it out a little bit. Remember, whatever we do to one side, we gotta do to the other. And again, I don't want her to help me, so I want this nice full neck rotation. And I'm gonna come back here for this side and do the same thing on the other side. End this routine, I'm gonna cram both of my hands as far down as I can, and right where I feel the ridge of her spine on the side of them, I'm gonna lift up 2 fingers and do a long, hard, steady pull from the base of where I have my hands all the way up to the neck, and then I'm gonna cradle that occipital bone on the back of her skull just to kind of make a little tension traction through the spine. So cram my hands both all the way down here. Pull. She'll instinctively kind of lift up her neck a little. And I will hold right here at that occipital bone right here, and then kind of let the head fall down and cradle itself. You can also stretch the neck out this way if you wanted to by like holding one shoulder here on this side. I might grab right here and lift the head gently. This one, I'll grab one hand with my other hand, swap it right over, and then do the same thing where you hold on to the shoulder, pull that neck up for a nice rotation through there. And then I always like right here through the ears, little yum through the ears. I have not met a human person alive that doesn't like this kind of parting through the lymphatic cords around the ears. You will mess up your client's hair while you're doing this. So that's why when we do those days of beauty, we always do the facial first, so we don't mess up the hair or the nails. If you're doing a pedicure and they're under these sheets on here, are kind of annoying. And now, by this time, these get really hot, so just make sure that you're kind of testing the temperature on here. Now, so I don't startle her, I will normally put on this light next to her, so that way she kind of will, when I take the towel off, feel that there's a light over here, because now I gotta get into some extractions. And I know we have at least one that we can get on here. Some clients won't have any extractions, that's okay. Especially a client that's coming to you for more of like a relaxing, calm down facial, you might omit the extraction step, but a client that comes to you exclusively, like, I've got all these spots on my face and I want them gone, you might take extra time with your extractions, just depends on the type of facial. Now, I know that this is the guy that I'm working with on here too, so I'm gonna put on my little finger cuts. Sometimes you won't need an extraction tool. Sometimes you can just like manually kind of squeeze them out. You can use one of those extraction tools if you want to, but those are really hard metal. And right now the face is very soft and wet. So you can't just dig a metal tool into the soft human flesh on here. You'll, at the very worst, scar them on here, but you don't even want to bruise them or make this too uncomfortable. No matter how many extractions there are, no more than about 10 minutes for extractions. Will you have clients that come in and you could spend the full hour extracting them? Yeah, it's real fun, but most clients can't take that. So 10 minutes, 15 minutes at the most, and we usually follow the rule of 3. Try extracting it 3 times. If it doesn't come out by that 3rd time, leave it alone. It's not quite ready to come out yet. Now, this guy right here is called a Hamburg extractor. It's got 2 tools at the end of it that it unscrews out. One side is a little melon baller scooper. We're pulling out some of your extractions. And the other side is a little spear. It is very sharp. Be careful with it. And when we are lancing something, that is, we're making an opening that we can get some of that pus out of here, work with gravity. Right here where it is on her face, I'm not going to lance it on top of there. I'm going to lance it kind of here on this bottom corner, so that when it drains down on here. Just a little less work for me. Right here. And I'm just going to do a quick little 1-2 poke. You'll feel a little snick, I guess is maybe the best word I have, a little snick in the skin. You're not trying to stab them with it, but you want to create a little opening. So that way I can come right here, get that up and squeeze. Yep, slides right out of there. Now with extractions, you want to, especially if there's like pus that we're working with underneath, you want to squeeze until we see nice clean blood. Because if I'm just squeezing on her and I just have like pus in here and I don't get all that pus out, all it's going to do is reinfect. Did you feel that one? So I'm squeezing, but I'm still seeing all of that pus that's in here. So I'm going to keep gently now. I'm not squeezing like this. I'm almost taking my hands and rolling underneath the skin. I'm going a little bit farther, and I want to pinch all the way from underneath and almost like a roll extract up. This isn't going to do anything but kind of break the skin. You want to get it, it's like almost like a volcano. You want to like get underneath and get all of that to come out through the top of it. Really doesn't have anything else for us to squeeze on here too, but a lot of clients really like your little sebaceous filaments on here too. These around your nose are not blackheads. It's something that the industry says to make you feel like you're not washing your face enough. Why does everybody have these little filaments on here? Because they're the boots of your hair follicles. Everywhere else on your face, you have a ton of flesh and muscle underneath it, so that way it's really easy, it's not as easy to see. But your nose, this is just cartilage on here. That's why if you do those pore strips, they come back in a week because the hair is growing back in a week on here. So don't let like the face washing stuff on here too. You know that there's sebaceous filaments now. Now, could I move here and squeeze and kind of squeeze some of them out of there? Certainly. But again, for some clients on here too, this is a really big deal for them. For some clients, not so much. So that's why we ask. That's why when you do your product consultation forms, you see how they're kind of sliding out of there on that side. Ask on here too. I want to ask this client because if she was like, I really want to focus on extractions with this facial and I do no extraction, she's not going to be happy no matter how good the massage was. And now this can kind of hurt your clients when you come on here too, but it is the most fun. So tamper that with yourself on here. I could sit and do this all day, especially when you get like a good one and they just, like squeeze right out of there. Amazing.
It's never ending. facial need to last? Like,
50 minutes. You book them for an hour, and you make the entire service last 15 minutes, so you have 10 minutes to clean up, go to the bathroom, all that jazz. And then you just slide these off like gloves, and then these can get thrown away. Alrighty, now, turn this off. Now, I just extracted, exfoliated her on here, so I want to hit her with this toner one more time just to kind of calm the skin down. I know that when we say something acidic, we don't think of it necessarily being very calming for the skin, but your skin likes acid on here too, so it will make you feel better.
do you tell them you're putting the timer in there?
No, normally in mine I have like a spray on here too, and I spray it up really high so they hear it and then it kind of falls down onto their skin. For this one, they're gonna hear it when you turn the machine on.
Are there like specific steps that you'll narrate for them so they know what's going on, or is that the whole thing, or not at
If
all?
they're very nervous about it, I might give them a basic rundown, 2 cleanse and mask on stuff on here too. Some clients will want to talk to you for the whole thing. Some people, if you tell them to relax, like, that's like worse for them. If anybody ever tells you like, relax, calm down, and that like riles you up, you're like, I'll show you relax on here. So it depends on the client. Some clients are like, I want to say hello to you, and then I want you to not talk to me. I hate it when my clients talk to me. I want to focus on what I'm doing, but it's not about me. It's about your client. And some people need this as a time. My eyes are closed. I'm in darkness. I've gotten some juicy secrets out of clients that are just like, I need to tell somebody this on here. It might as well be you, ambiguous figure with my eyes closed on here. So it really depends on the client on here too. Some clients I'll not say a single word to them. Some clients will have a full-fledged conversation about their marriage and how they grew up and childhood trauma and stuff like that. Just depends.
Do you have ones that fall asleep?
This is a rosewater toner on here too. I'm sorry.
Do you have ones that fall asleep?
That is the best compliment that somebody can give you. If they fall asleep, that means that they trust you. A client that falls asleep under your hands is a wonderful compliment. And a client where you hear those belly noises, sometimes you'll lay someone down and their stomach will go like on here. Another great sign. That means that her nervous system has switched off. That blood is no longer in her feet or hands. Her body trusts me enough that it's like, hey, while I'm relaxing, I might as well start digesting some of this food. You don't digest food when you're stressed out. If you eat something and then go run, your body's like, let this stay in here. We gotta like supply the legs and the arms with like blood so it can run away from stuff. So that is a great sign on here. Some clients will be like, I'm sorry, like I must have eaten something weird. No, we love happy belly noises for our clients. So because I knew that I had to do an extraction for her, I chose this clay-based mask. Clay absorbs. I know we talked about this a little bit more when we did pedicures on here too, but your clay absorbs, so any extra oil or any of that stuff that's on her face is gonna come a lot easier. Now, this particular one that I'm gonna give you, this red Australian clay on here, it is very thick. So we will wanna add a little bit of our water to that, just to loosen it up a little bit. Otherwise, it's like putting a rock on the face.
So when you go to people's houses though, what do you do for towels?
I have my towel. I bring my towels with me. I have a towel warmer, and I've got one of these, but like a small version of it.
That's good, because I know like the stuff I watch on TV, they use like sponges and stuff.
You can't. It just feels wasteful to me. Like I'm
Yeah.
doing laundry anyway. Might as well like do
Yeah.
laundry. The sponges just feel kind of wasteful.
The hot towels are great too.
I think the hot towels are a big part of this facial. Yeah. Oil is not totally clean oil that comes on the face. I want some of that to be on the face, like the natural sebum that the body produces, but I wasn't squeezed. So when you squeeze to get oil out, it's a different massage technique that we'll go over called the Dr. Jacquette movement. This one I was just kind of playing with the sebaceous filaments. I wasn't quite twisting with the sebaceous glands. remember, clay only works for us while it's wet. And this one in particular, if you let it dry, it's a huge pain to get off. So normally while I do my other massage routine, while this is on, I will just let this warm towel sit on there as well. So that way it stays wet, it's easier for me to wipe off, and it's doing more of the job for me. But again, you always want to make sure that you leave the nose and the mouth exposed when you're doing like a full towel drape on here so they don't feel like they're suffocating. So this one's kind of on you. I almost always bring the feet into it. I feel like it's a nice continuation of this service that kind of gives us a break from the face on here. Now my client can kind of relax and it moves me around. But I'm not just gonna go from her hand and run down and grab her feet on here. That's going to scare her. So when you're moving through the body, let her know where I'm going. I'm gonna go from the shoulders, kind of to the knees, and then run it down here to the feet, so that way she's not surprised when I start grabbing at her feet. And you don't have to. If the feet is not like your bag on here too, you can do an arm massage. You may do a scalp massage. You hairdressers are real big on like a good scalp massage on here too. Do whatever you do. I always just do the feet.
What if they don't want you to touch their
I would let them know beforehand. Most of my clients know now on here too, but they might say something like, oh, I'm not like super like, and then I would do something else. I do a scalp massage, an arm massage, maybe I give them like a complimentary lip treatment or something. You know, there are other stuff that you can do. You just want to stay busy because this mask has to sit for a certain amount of time, so.
So before you go to the feet, like, oh, I'm like, with your feet.
I usually let them know when I tell them what's coming in the facial that I'll do this on here too, and that's their time to kind of say like, oh, I don't really like my feet being touched on here, and it's like, okay.
You have to put this in the water first.
If your clients come to you with dirty, you may use one of your extra hot towels. And if I got down here and I was like, whoa, hey, what's going on? I might take one of my hot towels and put it on the feet, yeah, and wipe them off before we get into this.
Spray a little something on there.
Yeah. But I will say, not usually an issue. If somebody that knows they're coming in for a massage or a facial or waxing, is you just like when you go to the dentist, you like really floss your teeth like before like you go to the dentist. Most people will shower, be at least reasonably clean. That's not every time, but I would say majority of the time. Now, I know we talked a lot about not leaving your client. In a real world setting, I would have a sink right behind me. Here, I don't have that option. But if you're going and massaging somebody's feet, I'm not just gonna take my hands that touched her feet and go back and start putting stuff on her face. So when you're done with the foot massage on here too, this is the only time you want your clients to hear. I want her to hear that I'm washing my hands before I come back and start putting my hands on her face. But here it's like a short process. Like I said, in a real world setting, the sink will be right behind you, so you don't have to look across the entire room for it. All right. Our steamer is still on. We're still making good time. Now you can see where this mask has started to change the color difference on here. So you do want to just add a little bit of moisture back onto that. just because the drier it is, the harder it is to get off, and you don't want to scrape off your client's face.
Is that from Georgia?
No, this is actually Australia. This is in Australia, but it does look like southern clay, doesn't it?
Looks like it's from Zephyr, people do
That was a big culture shock moving to Tennessee. I'd only ever seen Florida dirt before, so it
Yeah.
was super sandy, and I'm like, what is this?
that. How old were you?
15?
Oh.
I'd never seen snow, I'd never seen anything.
Oh, you got to see snow and stuff?
Barely, not really.
I don't know what
I got to
happened.
see Tennessee snow, which is not the same as like mountain snow.
We used to get a lot of snow when I was young, but I don't know what happened.
So you do want to make sure, especially through the nostrils, that you're getting the mask out. You don't want to leave them with any like booger sugar, so you might have to come in and give them a little like tap through the nostril. Make sure that all that mask is off there. So depending on the mask, sometimes they're easy to take off, sometimes not so much. I have a hydrogel mask that I'll show you guys how to play with tomorrow. That one can be a little complicated on here. So today we'll just stick with this clay-based mask. The peel-off mask, yes.
That was so absolutely fucking creepy. Oh my god.
And
Sorry.
not to be disparaging, but it should have been applied a little differently and that wouldn't have happened. So here we go, one more, this will be our last tone because now the face has been exfoliated, I've absorbed everything with an oil. Now the name of the game for me is to re-moisturize. So I am going to direct the steam, I still want her to be warm, so I might direct the steam just on the body, but I want to work on cooling down the face now. So if I had an ampule, this is where I would put on an ampule, but right now I just have a serum. Most serums have hyaluronic acid in them. Some people like just a pure hyaluronic acid. Hyaluronic acid only works if the skin is a little damp beforehand. Do not put hyaluronic acid on dry skin. Hyaluronic acid is hydrophilic. It loves water, which means that it will absorb water from anywhere around it. So if you put it on dry skin, it is going to absorb the water from the skin. You want it to absorb the water that's already on the skin. So between the steamer and the toner and everything on there, you should be fine. But that's most hyaluronic acids on here. And depending on how, this is a pretty thin serum on here too, but depending on the thickness of your serum, you might do a little massage routine with this, but I'm gonna save that for the moisturizer just because this is real thin. So I'm really just doing a little steady pass on her face just to kind of absorb it. Now, if this was a client that I knew like could take it, you don't just want to introduce a slapping routine without like warning your clients that it's coming. But I'm not like backhand slapping her over the face on here too. This is just a gentle little like, and that just encourages the skin to absorb it a little bit more. So I'm not just like cracking her on the face on here too. I'm just gently kind of little slaps, finger slaps.
Some people got them
I've seen it done
though,
well.
like them, like.
Yes, but you normally warn them about that beforehand.
What if somebody asks you to do that? Just that's crazy.
On here too, yes. I need just little slaps on here. So now we'll come in with our vitamin C moisturizer. Now the moisturizer is usually a little thicker, so this one you can do a little bit more of a massage routine with. And again, we'll get into face massage and the mappings and all of the pressure points and everything a little bit later. And remember, moisturizers for the whole face on here too. So you gotta get the lips too. Everything except for your active should also go on the lips. Your serums, your moisturizers, stuff like that. Put it on the lips too. There's nothing like having a moisturized face with like dry, crusty lips on here. And not what we want for her. We want her to leave us dewy and moisturized. So now while we're greased up, we're not quite done yet. This is where you're gonna do any of your face massage techniques on here. So this is where you can kind of hinge through the eyebrows if you want to, around that occipital lens of the eyes. And remember, you're using the whole body on here too. So I'm even using my wrist to kind of pull up. This is a little steeple. Give a little clench and hold right here under the bones. Release right here. You do this little effleurage hand over hand, where every time you move your hand, your other hand is there to catch it. Stretch here through the forehead. Again, I promise this will all kind of come with time. At first, this is gonna feel super duper awkward. And if you are somebody who is a little bit more like energy work minded on here too, this is kind of where you want to put like your little like extra emphasis on here too. You know, this is where you're like really kind of touching the face on here too. So I always like to think like some like decent, nice thoughts for my client on here too. And I was like a little twist right here through the temples, and almost like you're pulling an invisible string. And then you want some kind of signal to your client that this is over. So I will usually run my hands up over here, a little press, like a little dismount, and then you're just about done. Now, hopefully you've done a good job. Your client should be in a coma-like Zen state on here. So I don't just want to be like, all right, get out of here. I want to gently coax her, okay, waking up, this is the real world now. In a real world setting, normally what I do is I will kind of gently grab the ear that I'm about to talk into, and I'll be like, hey, how you feeling down there? Normally your clients are gonna immediately give you like a big stretch on here, a big sigh, great signs. You come to at your comfort level. When you're ready, open the door for me, and I will be waiting there with a glass of cucumber water or something nice on here. I will lead you back into the locker room, into the lobby, whatever your policy is on here too, and then your receptionist will take them through the checking out process and things like that. When your client leaves, that's when we worry about flipping everything over. I gotta change these sheets. That big hamper right here that's on the wall is for dirty laundry. The one on the other end with the fire extinguisher is for clean laundry. I know I do about 17 loads of laundry a day. That's kind of just how it works on here too. So throw all of your dirty laundry into that hamper. Make sure that you give your client their jewelry back or anything like that, especially